All right, live from New York, it's
Yes,
Ask Engineers.
yes. It's that time. It's time for Ask Engineers. This time we have double the engineers, double your pleasure, double your fun. With me is Naomi Ceder from the Python Software Foundation, Pythonista extraordinaire. We'll be talking all about Python, the PSF, and what you can do to be part of the Python community, which is the best community.
It is.
Yeah, I will agree. And we also got the Raspberry Pi stuff going on, which is, the Raspberry Pi was named after Python.
It was.
So there you go. We're on theme today. We've got an exciting show for you tonight. We got to get right into it because it is jam-packed. Mr. Leada, what's on tonight's show?
That's right. On tonight's show, from the hour of 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., we have the discount code, the PSF. We are going to donate the same amount that was saved. So we're just going to tally it up.
Sense.
Yeah, sort of.
Well, I mean, we'll take it. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's free money.
So use the code in the Adafruit store. You get 10% off, and then at the end we're going to total it up, and whatever people saved, that's what we're going to donate to the PSF.
So it's basically
very thankful.
Buy one, give one. You get 10% off, and we'll match that 10% that you saved and give it to the PSF.
We donate anyways, but we wanted to do something specific for tonight.
Yeah, that's lovely.
Thank you. Before we get going, thank you for all of your work and everyone at the Python Foundation does.
Yes.
And I know these things aren't free, and there's grants that you do around the world, and hopefully this is
PyCon
one
awesome.
little drop in the ocean of good.
And maybe later on I can explain some of that too. I hope.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
We will get there.
So not only does the code, the PSF, support the Python Foundation tonight, it supports us, an open source software company in New York City. We're here. We have salaries and 401ks and mother's room and paid time off and family leave and paid day off for voting. We got all this stuff, and it's fueled by you, the customer out there who buys something. But don't pay full price. Use code. People around the world showing and sharing their projects. Lady Ada will talk about that. We have some Make Code Minute, some videos, and some previews of tomorrow's show. We have a whole bunch of Python on hardware news and more. I'm really excited because we get to show this to the chair of the Python Foundation live right here in the front row.
Indeed.
Pack the mailbags and stop by. We're going to read your letters to us. Time travel. We're going to look around in the world of makers, hackers, artists, engineers, some projects, all sorts of things that happened during the week. Help wanted, jobs. This is jobs.adafruit.com. It's people who post up their skills, and it's companies that are looking for cool people. And maybe we'll ask Naomi if Python Foundation is looking to hire someone too. 3D printing. People like to 3D print. Noah and Pedro do that every single week. We have a couple videos and more. In New York City, some factory footage here live and pre-recorded. Made fruit. We have new products. We'll answer your questions. So if you have any questions about Python and more, head over to Discord during the show. Towards the end, we're going to answer your questions. adafruit.it/Discord.
Also, you'll need to be there if you want to get the giveaway.
That's right. Join 12,000 of us over there. I'll just do a little quick sneak peek. We're going to
Do you want one of these?
We're going to give away a Raspberry Pi 4, which isn't this.
Oh, wait.
It looks like the Raspberry Pi 4, but I clicked on it because it's right next to another product. So this is a Raspberry Pi 4. This is a Raspberry Pi product that we have. This is a 4. We're going to give away these, and you can't get these anywhere in the U.S. right now. We had some in stock. We sold through. We're going to give one away at the end of the show. That'll be a big deal. We have some top secret stuff that hasn't been shown yet in the world. And the trivia question is when we're going to give away the Pi 4. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer.
Yay! Yes.
Okay, so we're going to take care of some logisticy stuff, go over a couple things at show and tell, and then we're going to talk to Naomi about Python. That's the plan. So remember that code I was talking about? Don't forget. This code will be active all the way up to midnight, but between the hours of 8 and 9 is when we're going to do the donation thing. Lady Ada, if people purchase stuff, they see a free item in their cart.
They will get a free item.
What do they get?
$99 or more, you'll get a free half-size Permaproto breadboard. It's a PCB that matches the size and shape of the solderless breadboard, so you can transfer your project over to this permanent prototype and solder it in, and then recycle your solderless breadboard. $149 or more, you'll get a free badge. We have all sorts of badges, from robotics to laser cutting to LEDs to Tesla coils to Bitcoin to Linux. to Python, all sorts of good stuff. You'll get a different badge every time you order if you make an account. Otherwise, it'll be random. So we can't guarantee you won't get the same one twice because randomness is like that. If you make an account, we'll track which ones we've already sent you, so you'll get a different one on each order. $199 or more, you'll get free UPS ground shipping in the continental United States. That's high quality trackable shipping. It's insured. It'll get there for sure. $299 or more, you'll get a free Circuit Playground Express. It's a premier all-in-one development board for anybody who wants to learn coding or making. You can program it with Python. You can also use it with C, Arduino, MakeCode, code.org CS Discoveries, which is like a JavaScript, Teeny Go, which is like a small version of Golang, and what was the last one? There's fourth for
Code
it.
Discoveries,
Teeny Go.
code.org.
There's
Rust.
something else.
Rust.
Rust. Yeah, the Rust folks also have a port for it as well. So there you go. Any language you want, yeah, LEDs and sensors and buttons, so you are ready to rock.
Pretty much.
No matter what you want to build.
Okay, for shipping, UPS ground, that's the best way to get something in the U.S. continental, that is. Postal service, if you're willing to wait a little bit and pay a little bit less. And sometimes there's not tracking, but it's available.
And sometimes you don't quite get it
Sometimes
when you think you're going to get it.
Yeah, we sent a sticker to someone, show and tell, and they said they didn't get it, which is always a bummer.
Sometimes it just takes a little longer.
Yeah, and then DHL for international. If you're in New York City and you check out before 11 a.m. and it's zip code that we have, you can get same-day delivery. Okay, Lady Ada, before we start chatting with Naomi, what did you see on the show and tell this
I'm
week?
going to zip through it. Brent showed off the cursor control CircuitPython library that allows you to control an on-screen cursor and click on things to make UIs, and that's for Display.io and CircuitPython. JP previewed tomorrow's show is all going to be about palettes in MakeCode. Why would you want palettes? Why are they used? How can you change them? Do you want to know these answers to these things? Check in tomorrow for a show. Melissa went to Teardown. She updated her badge code to show a logo behind her name, so that's cool. She also did a couple workshops, including one for an FPGA stopwatch, the FOMU, which is like the Tomu, the little mini board. It runs ICE40, and it can implement a chip that runs MicroPython because it's an FPGA. And then there's also a CircuitPython teardown badge that ran the NR52840, which is also running CircuitPython. So lots of Python at teardown. Noah and Pedro made this really cool button, diagonal control joystick for Pi badge case. I will show a video of it later. Mike B had a guide. This is kind of an ancient project from back when there was the Arduino Explorer. Mike wrote a game for that platform and then has now ported it over to the Pi Gamer and Pi Badge because now we have our own gaming platforms. It's a fun little like accelerometer bouncy game. Then we had from the community Zen has granddaughter and they live a bit away. So what he's doing is taking recycled electronics from the local thrift stores and like this piano, which has been updated to use a sound effects board that then plays his and the grandmother's voice so that the kid can play the different keys on the piano but hear the grandparents, and like apparently that's really fun and cool. And I think I would really have liked that when I was a kid, but we didn't have that at the time. But now grandkids can have that.
Yeah, that was, I mentioned that to Zen, that this is one of many projects I've seen that grandparents, they want to start doing electronics, they're learning to code, and then they're making something for their grandkids and they're sending it. In this example, it seems to be a theme where grandparents, either they'll use an Adafruit device or they'll hack something they got from like a thrift store or a toy that they already had, or we're going to purchase one that wasn't modified, and they add their own voices. So this one like says hello, and it's the grandparents, and these grandkids were 300 miles away, but it's like they're there.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Richard has been updating the mini smart home. Now instead of a microbit, it's an ESP8266 with an MQTT client and then running an MQTT server on a computer. He can turn on and off fans, LEDs, a servo that locks the door on this mini smart home. It's like a dollhouse. There's a door sensor and showed off Home Assistant with a really nice control panel.
It's another trend. I think if
people love Home Assistant.
I think folks who are into like predicting the future or doing like analysis reports, they should see what makers and engineers are doing on the weekends and for fun. Because like this home assistant stuff is really taking off, and I think it's a good alternative to some of the commercial solutions out there.
I wouldn't have the commercial stuff in my house. I know.
Yeah, we hear this all the time now.
Yeah, right.
And like every other day, there's like, whoop, new malware, like all the cameras don't work, or whatever. And it's interesting that stuff is getting easy enough where you can just use something like a Raspberry Pi and Cricket from Adafruit, and you can get all the things. And his doesn't even go on the internet; it's all on a local network. So earlier this week, there was a big internet outage. We got hit. Verizon, there was like a route leak, and AWS was down, and everything just didn't work. And it's really fragile. His house would have been okay.
Yeah. The dolls would be happy. And then Coding Pro is getting involved in this week's Discord Hack Week. You can get a free T-shirt, and if you win Hack Week, you get a Nitro Boost and some other stuff. You can do fan art, you can do bots. Coding Pro is submitting their bot, but also just by joining the Discord Hack Week Discord, got a free T-shirt. So there you go.
You showed up there, yeah.
Showing up, sometimes you get free T-shirts. And free T-shirts are like gold for developers. So already learning at a young age what is really important, which is free T-shirts.
All right. All
Now show and tell.
participants on the show and tell get an SE on the show and tell sticker. If you're a kid, have your parents or guardian email. Supported Adafruit will send you out a sticker. Lady Ada, before we go to the interview, which Raspberry Pi are we giving away tonight?
We are going to give away the 2 gigabyte, which is the only one we have.
Great.
If you want a different one, we don't have it. That's the one we have.
We have all.
Ask me if we have a 1 gigabyte.
Any variety you want, as long as it's that one.
Any variety you want, as long as it's 2
as
gigabyte.
long as you're happy with the 2 gigabyte
All
one.
right, so that's
Tell you
what
what,
it
you can cut the RAM in half, and now it's a 1 gigabyte.
Okay. Well, let's kick this off. We have a special guest tonight, Naomi. I grabbed this off Twitter, and I thought this kind of summarized a lot of the ways I think about Python, and probably your work. It's lots of community, and that's what we called Circuit Python, community plus code. We were inspired by that. So I'd like to start, because we have a lot of people, this might be even the first time they heard what Python is. It's not just like a snake on the Nature channel. What's Python, and what do you do with Python?
Sure. So, I mean, Python itself is now, a coding language that's 30 years old, believe it or not. Okay. And it's meant to be kind of a high-level general-purpose language. What that means is you don't have to write nearly as much code to do stuff as if you were using a language called like C or something like that, where you really have to specify everything. So it's high level, and it's good at a lot of things. It's good at handling text. It's good at controlling little devices. It's
basically it's
basically
good at IoT, because it's just like you can just pass JSON and parse it and run it. It's so good at that. So
and it depending upon which list you look at, it's the most popular language in the world, or one of the top 3 most popular. It's about to be. Yeah, I mean, so it's really had a lot of popularity. It's used in data science. It's used to drive things like Google. It's used to glue together all of the rendering programs they use for companies like Pixar and whatever, doing CGI graphics for the movies. We're kind of all over the place, really.
Yeah.
So, personally, I tend to use it more for data processing. So, as we've talked about, I work for Dick Blick Art Supplies, and we use it to figure out the prices of everything compared to the competition so we can sell our stuff at the right price. So it does a lot of different stuff.
In the retail environment, you have razor-thin margins.
It's a tough market.
And you have to move fast.
Absolutely. That's the idea. We need to be able to reprice everything overnight.
And
actually faster than that, but overnight is where we're at.
And so
right
that's
now.
Part of your day job. And then you're also the chair of the Python Foundation.
Right. So I'm chair of the Python Software Foundation, and that's an organization that's meant to hold all of the copyrights and look after the intellectual property of Python. It's an open source language, but obviously that doesn't mean everybody in the world can just do whatever they want and put their name on it or things like that.
We're an open source company, same thing.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You cannot say you're Adafruit.
Right.
You can't take Lemore's name off all the code and put your name, which happens a lot.
Yeah,
and we have to politely
So-
say, please don't do that. You can do whatever you want with it, but don't do that.
Right. So somebody needs to manage that, and we also grow the community. As you alluded, we grow the community worldwide. So, we've got users around the world. We've got people doing PyCons or doing Python tutorials or doing various meetups all around the world. So that's the other thing that we support. And, as I said, I wanted to explain what we would do if you actually used the PSF code. Please
Yeah.
do. The clock is ticking, etc.
Or
Yeah.
donate directly.
Yes.
It's also
yes. So I mean, that money helps us support programs around the world. We gave over $300,000 last year. About a third of that went to Africa, a little bit less went to South America, and then spread around throughout the rest of the world. But those are a couple of growth areas. So it helps us build communities everywhere, not
Yeah.
just in the U.S. or just in Northern Europe or whatever. We're pretty much everywhere.
And for developing nations, the things that I've started to see is there's a little bit of leapfrogging because you get so much and so much further if you're just starting out programming and you're using Python now.
Right, that's absolutely true.
Than kind of just going through the last 20-something years. And you do build skills along the way, but boy, you had to do a lot of stuff to do just a little. Now you could do a little bit to get a lot done.
Right, and in a lot of places, people are really excited about getting into programming because they can do so many things that they find will actually really affect what's going on near them. So, things where they're doing embedded or they're dealing with little devices that will help them manage something, whatever it might be. They tend to really kind of hone in on, hey, this is going to make things work better for me in a really big way, and they jump on it with great
it's like
enthusiasm.
solving real problems. I always say, like, if you want to learn to program or make, pick something that you need or you want.
Absolutely.
And then you will learn any skill you need to get to that. But if
totally
you're just
agree.
learning for the sake of learning, it's really tough to, some people can do it.
They can.
But for me, for example, it's really tough to do that unless, like, there's some stick. Like, you're going to get an F if you don't learn this.
Right.
But after you get out of school, how do you maintain
Right.
that desire to learn?
Kathy Sierra used to call that just-in-time learning, when you're learning what you need right when you need it. You've got great motivation
And
for that.
there's no shame in it. Like,
Right.
people are like, oh, you just looked up whatever you need on the internet.
No,
I'm
it's
like,
great.
heck yeah.
It works way better than the other, which is just-in-case learning, where I'm going to memorize everything just in case I might need it someday. That doesn't
Just
work.
in
And
case I
also
have a
things move too
standardized
fast.
test next
Yeah,
week and I'm a
right.
kid, and
Yeah,
then
there
I
you go.
immediately forget it after my standardized test is over.
Absolutely.
So a couple general questions, and then I want to ask about how you got involved with all this. So you alluded to this a bit. Python's called the batteries included language. It's not actual. Well, maybe one day it'll be.
Maybe.
Maybe one day we'll start giving batteries with CircuitPython. But what do people mean when they say it's the batteries included language?
Yeah, and that goes back. We've had that tag for a long time, and what it means is that the standard version of Python comes with this whole huge collection of libraries, so that once you get Python installed on your desktop or on your server or something like that, you can do a lot of those things that I described without having to get an additional piece of software. Now, of course, when you're dealing with little tiny devices, you need to make some hard choices as to what you want to include and what you don't, because you don't have room for everything. But that's the idea, is we want to have people be able to sit down, start doing things, and be able to build a lot of stuff without having to worry about, okay, so where do I go get a library to do this thing? And where do I go get a
especially since, like,
library
there can
to do
be
that thing?
variations, right? Like, if you're doing something in C and you're like, okay, there's 5 different regular
Right.
expressions libraries, and each one's different, and makes it tough to share code.
Right.
Whereas if you install Python 3.7, you know what
you
you're going
have
to
it.
get. You've got, and it's got like web server stuff built in, or
Right.
you know what you're going to get when you get it. And I think that makes one of the things I'd like about Python is, there's always tool chain issues with any language, but with Python it seems like there's less. If you've got the language and you've got the
You could
pip packages,
certainly get started.
you're a PyEnv, you can do it. Whereas I've definitely been in some situations where it's like you're writing code in C and like your glibc doesn't match, and then your kernel's dependent on it, and then now you're stuck and you actually can't move forward.
Right, absolutely.
It does happen.
Okay. And so, from what I understand, you used to study languages, spoken languages.
I'm a spoken language nerd, yes.
PhD, like, you know languages.
Ooh.
So what got you into specifically Python? Because I think that's a great leap. There's Nicholas Toll, who was a musician,
Yeah, right.
went into Python.
He's a friend of mine, yeah.
You tend to find people that have a really expansive view of all sorts of things, and when they pick up programming, it amplifies that programming
Right,
ability.
right.
How did you get involved with?
Well,
with
so
Python?
I mean, I did. I have a PhD in, believe it or not, Latin and ancient Greek.
Okay, you use that every day still, though, right?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I speak to ancient Greeks all the time.
All the variables are in Latin.
So I had that, and yeah, as you point out, there's not a whole lot of day-to-day that you do. I ended up being a teacher with that. Taught for a couple of years in Greece, came back to the States and was teaching in a private school. And this was when we were starting to have a lot of microcomputers coming into schools. It was a while ago. And the problem is nobody knew what to do with them, and a lot of people were afraid to do anything.
Yeah.
So I'd always kind
Afraid
of
'cause
grown
they're
up
hard,
in a do-it-yourself family.
Or they were
so
going to get like
they'll break
outsourced
it
or something.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah,
all those things.
Yeah, and so I grew up in kind of a do-it-yourself family. So I was the person that was willing to pop the top out and start playing with the hardware and like, oh, we can fix this thing. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
And that meant them deciding, hey, we can find another Latin teacher, but we need to move this person so they can do that for us because we can't find that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So that, and then
Because there was no like curriculum yet. It was like this was just invented.
yeah, right. So I ended up becoming their director of technology, ended up going to a conference 2001, and I learned Python from the guy who created it, Guido van Rossum. He was actually like doing tutorials then because nobody had heard of Python in those days. So
you
I've been there a long time.
You learned from the source.
Absolutely. I asked him stupid questions too, but he forgave me. So
That's fine. Those
Yeah.
are the best questions.
And so you got involved with Python, and obviously you sponged it up because you have a book that it's in, I think, the third
edition, yeah.
edition, and you still teach classes. You were doing that today.
I was doing that today, yeah. I was doing some corporate training, teaching people intermediate Python, and we were talking about data cleaning, all sorts of good stuff. So, yeah. So I did. I mean, I did conferences and things like that. We started having the conference we call PyCon in 2003, and I went and gave a talk at that one, and I've been going to those ever since. I'm not inventive enough, I guess, to do something else. I always just go.
Why? You know what?
Well,
So
there's
at some
more-
age, you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to do what I like doing.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because when you started, there certainly wasn't Jupyter Notebooks.
No.
But now there's entire industries devoted. There was a
Absolutely.
TensorFlow. There's entire
Absolutely.
industries
Mhm.
devoted.
You don't even have to do it. You just let other people do
Yes, there
it.
you
Yeah.
go. I know.
It's
yes.
amazing.
So
Love
what are
it.
what are the some of the day-to-day things with a foundation that you have to do with software? Because there's
Yeah.
a few, we donate to a few, but Python Foundation we're more familiar with because we go to PyCon and like we
Right.
do a lot of things in
Well,
the
I
community.
mean, so, we've continued to grow. So, we're managing giving grants out. That takes a lot of time. So as we've grown, what we've decided is that most nonprofits, when they get like a little bit more mature, the board members are really there to make sure that we're following our strategy and that the people that we hire are doing the things we want to do. So, we used to have meetings every other week and decide every single thing. Now we have meetings every other month, and we've got a staff of 5 people who are actually taking care of the day-to-day. And those people spend their time answering emails from members, from sponsors, from vendors, from all of the people that we need to deal with, working on all sorts of aspects of sponsorship, managing the finances,
Yeah.
directing communities. It just kind of goes on and on and on. When you have, there are millions of people out there using Python, and a considerable fraction of them interact with us.
Yeah.
So that's really busy. Now, what I do as the chair of the board is kind of I'm sort of the boss and the partner of the executive director. So she says, I don't know for sure what we want to do about this. She wants to have somebody else's advice. I'm the partner that, we consult and say, okay, well,
Yeah.
let's do this thing.
And you're still on the ground every day. I mean, you're doing corporate training
Mm-hmm.
today. Your day job is doing Python. So
Yeah, I lead a team, so I'm either reading, I read code, write code, or think about what new code we need to write next.
and you go to these events. So
Mm-hmm.
You're busy.
yeah, so you
It seems that way sometimes.
so
yeah.
the rest of the team has a direct channel to the community at all times, and I think that's one of the successes. Like we've run into, we had Carol on the show before.
Right.
We keep running into the people that make decisions and also think carefully about like what's next and what are we doing. So for the folks who are like, you know what, I like this already, they can donate. So
Right.
I put a button up here. You have the Amazon Smile stuff.
We do have that as well,
So
yeah.
when people buy things on Amazon, if it's eligible, it's like 0.5%.
Something like that, yeah.
It's donated. Tonight we're doing our thing where we're going to donate the savings for the discount code, which is the PSF. And then I didn't notice this until recently. The PyCharm license, all proceeds benefit the PSF. So how did that come about? Because that's interesting. That's
Yeah, we've
'cause we're
worked.
always thinking like different
Yeah.
models and stuff like that.
We've worked with the PyCharm people for a few years now, and they are really interested in supporting the Python community, and as are some other businesses now. I mean, it really is, it's kind of selling itself in some ways now.
Yeah.
And as we started our fundraiser, I think last year they did it, and it was a partial amount. I'm not sure. We've also had some Humble Bundle things
Yep.
go that have done proceeds. So I think they kind of wanted to up the ante on this a little bit and just
Yeah.
supply a little bit more money. So yeah, if you go through that link, you get PyCharm, and we get the license
Yeah.
fee.
I also when
It's very nice of them.
we were a swag bag sponsor for PyCon, and we gave it the circuit.
And those were a big hit.
Give away the
Trust
circuit
me,
playgrounds.
those were all over
Yeah.
the place, lighting up.
Yay.
Yes,
When
yes.
when I was
Making
scrolling
noises.
through the sponsor list, there were so many different companies that of course it all makes sense, but it was just neat to see. Like I scrolled down, like whoa, there's Capital One. Like there's all these companies that aren't tech companies. They're just like, well, we
But
need
they
data
use it every
scientists.
day,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's
And because they use it, they're like, we don't have to maintain this huge framework. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's a huge savings.
yeah.
I mean, it's really kind of changing the way corporations do that because, businesses used to think, okay, so I'm going to need to spend
$1 million,
$3 million
yeah.
a year on licensing fees. If they're doing something that they develop in-house, maybe they're spending a few $100,000 on.
To manage it and support and hire
Right.
people and
Yeah,
care for them.
it changes the paradigm then.
Yeah, you can get so far so fast.
So the other thing that I think Python is known for is the community, and specifically when you go to community, right front and center, diversity statement. And the Python Software Foundation and the global Python community welcomes and encourages participation by everyone. Our community is based on mutual respect, tolerance, and encouragement, and we are working to help each other to live up to these principles. We want our community to be more diverse. Wherever you are and whatever your background, we welcome you. That's powerful because you don't see that in every open source effort. You don't
Right.
see that in every tech company. And that's one of the things that was really appealing to us when we said, we really want to get a easy to use language and put that on hardware. And the Python community was that even before the technical side of it. We're like,
Right.
that Python community, it's so good to interact with. It seems like that's a big part of the focus for the foundation.
It is, and we spend a lot of time working on that, and we've been spending time, even going back and looking at our code of conduct and how we handle code of conduct issues and all of that. We were kind of a leader when we did it a few years ago. Now the world has
Now
moved
everyone
on,
has code of conduct.
and
Every-
we want to keep
every repo
improving,
has a code of
and
conduct.
we want to keep that up. That's all great, but then
Yeah.
as things have changed, and it's sort of like, well, no, you need to think a little bit more about how people report things so that they can feel comfortable reporting something.
Yeah.
We need to think about how are we going to enforce this for everybody. I mean, we have a meetup in some other country. How do we, as the Python Software Foundation,
Yeah.
influence that? I mean, there are some hard questions to figure out, but as far as I've known, I've traveled around the world to Python events, and I guess maybe I'm spoiled by now, but it's like everywhere you go, though, you're going to find people making an effort to be inclusive.
Yeah.
It's like we're all people. Maybe we don't always do a perfect job, but everybody's really trying, and that's what really matters.
I think if
to
you
me.
say it, then people know it's important. If
Mm-hmm.
you never talk about it, it never becomes front of
Absolutely.
mind. And it's one of those things that you have to be thinking about because it's really natural for people to be like, I don't want to waste my time with you, or you're being
Absolutely.
annoying, or I just don't want to make a fuss, and it's
Right,
tough. 'Cause
right.
It's especially, I think it's true of many people, but engineers especially, they're non-confrontational, and sometimes it ends up making things
Right.
harder long term because they're not willing to
Well,
take
and
care
there
of
are all sorts of
situations.
subtle ways that you can discourage people from even coming in. So, we've kind of discouraged if you're going to be a coach at a Python tutorial event, try to get the well actuallys out of your vocabulary. Somebody comes up, how do I do this? Well, actually, you're doing this. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Things like that. So there are lots of subtle, even unconscious bias things that we can work on. And I'm asked to talk about diversity quite a bit, and I always ask, okay, so look around, who that you see every day is not here. Who are we still missing?
Yeah.
Right.
And
There's more people missing than you have.
Absolutely, there always is, and it's interesting. Every community you go to in a different country, it's going to be a different kind of thing. Now, we don't all have the same diversity problem, but when you ask that question, you're like, oh, yeah, you're right. Actually, maybe
some
we
of it
do
has
have
long
to think
history,
about
some
that.
of it's geography, some of it is language spoken, some of it is borders that changed in the last 50 years. Without going into specifics, electronics has gone through this a little bit too. When I had first met Lamore, it's like almost 15 years now. The electronics some of the electronics community, it was gatekeeping. Mm-hmm. In other words, they're like, well, you're not going to learn this stuff.
You have to be this smart.
You have to cut your teeth, learn the hard way. And I remember Lamore was participating in a forum. They basically said, "Who's this girl posting all this, this easy beginner stuff? You have to do it the hard way. You have to do this." And I saw a lot of people not want to get into electronics. And for the last 10, 15 years, it has changed. Mm-hmm. It is better and easier now to get involved with electronics. And I see people who they started and they're like, I really didn't like it, I had a bad experience, and now they're like, okay, I'm back. And I really enjoy interacting with people. And with Python, it seems like there isn't gatekeeping, it's opening gates.
Right.
Come on in, and here's where you can contribute. You can contribute to all different parts of what Python is. You don't have to even code.
Right.
There's participation that you can do in this really big community, and it's been really neat to be part of the Python Discord server. It's kind of like that's our friends over there, and they have tens of thousands of people on there. We have tens of thousands of people, and the feedback we get is Adafruit has this community that you can bring your granddaughter to, and hearing that from a parent or a grandparent, it's like, okay, that nailed it exactly. Right. And I know we have a lot more work to do, but as we've started this other chapter with electronics, the Python community plus electronics is really been helpful. So next time there's a suggestion box thing or your board, it's really helped us out a lot because we have an entirely new, diverse group of people doing electronics, and some of it's because they're coming in through the Python.
Yeah, that's great.
And some of it is like, well, if we're going to do this, let's make sure we have parity with code of conducts. Let's make sure every part the expectations are known. Like, hey, we're here to be cool with each other.
Right.
We don't have flame wars on mailing lists. We kind of suffered through that. We're like, you know what, we're not doing that.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Okay.
All right, cool.
And if folks want to purchase your book, what's the best place? Do you have a favorite bookseller that they can get it through? I know there's a link on your site, but
yeah, there's a link on the site, and you can go directly to manning.com and search for Quick Python Book, and that's the publisher. You can go, it's on Amazon, it does fairly well. I mean, it gets nice reviews, everything, so it's good. I mean, it's kind of meant for people who know some programming in another language, and they want to get as much Python as they can as
I know what a for loop is.
I know what a for loop is. How do I do it in Python? Boom, go get it there.
And then on Twitter, it's the PSF. That's how folks can tune into the Python Foundation.
Absolutely.
I do like the annual reports because there's so much information in there. It's like, here's what we spent the money on. Here's how much came in. Here's where it went. Here's
Lots
the
of
grant.
transparency. Really good stuff.
Yeah, and we're working to do more than that, but we're on the right track. Absolutely.
And you're traveling to different places. You're in New York right now. What's the next Python-related event you're going to be at?
So my next one, I just found out today. So this is an announcement that has not been made anywhere else. I'm going to be giving a talk about Python and exceptions at PyCon Latin America in Spanish.
Wow.
That whole thing worked out.
Yes.
You can just speak in the next.
So that's great. It's the second time I've given a Python talk in Spanish.
I'm not hoping you end up in a Stargate, but I'm saying if you did, you could go back to ancient Greece, and at the Acropolis, you could give a talk of.
There you go.
If you could send a message back to yourself, it'd be like, no, this is going to work out.
Yeah,
this is totally going to work out.
There you go.
They're going to be like, I don't understand. Is this a God? What's going on?
Yeah, there's going to be some twists and turns, but in the end, it's all going to work out. You're going to use all these things.
There you go.
Okay.
That's very exciting. That's awesome.
All right. Well, that's most of the interview. Thank you. We're going to go through the rest of the show. There's a lot of Python stuff here.
I will jump in. Absolutely.
Yeah, and like I was saying earlier, there's so much Python news this week and so many things that just came out and happened that I'll send like Carol note or Nicholas Toll note. We email once in a while. This is like one of those times where I'm just like, look at all this stuff that's going on, and we get to show you here in person. So
that's great.
It's kind of nice. All right.
Okay.
So let's take care of some more logistics and some videos. So Adafruit Live series of shows. Don't forget, we got
Next
a couple
week.
things going on. AdaBox.
Unboxing next week.
Yeah, so we
JP.
have the subscription service called AdaBox, and each quarter something comes out, and it gets to thousands of people, and it's a lot of Python. This one was a gaming platform called PyGamer,
Right.
and it runs Python, as you can imagine.
And it's what lets us ship to the thousands of people, because you can't have a box with electronics ship to thousands of people without a language that anyone can program.
That's true.
And
Definitely.
Python has been great. Moving to having all the projects be in Python or in MakeCode has opened up to a way bigger audience, which has been
Oh, yeah, I'm
good
sure.
for us.
We can't ship thousands of things and be like, hey, cut your teeth on it, or learn assembly.
Learn
or
MIPS
like,
assembly.
Yeah,
Right,
hey,
right,
recompile
right,
the kernel
right.
kid. It's not going to work out. So that's Wednesday of next week. John Park's going to be doing that. And speaking of, we have some clips and more from JP's show. We have Make Code Minute that we do every single week. So I don't know how much you've been keeping up with some of the block programming that's out there, but
A little bit, yeah.
Make Code, they have block code mode. It's built on it's Microsoft made it. It's open source. Our hardware works with it. You can use blocks, and then you can also use JavaScript. And now there's a static Python mode, so you can
Excellent.
switch between all of them. And
You can write Python, it turns into blocks, blocks turns into Python.
See, this was always my dream. Like years ago when they first came out with the blocks thing, it was always, okay, so but how do you get it to actually show people what's the code behind it and go back and
Yeah.
forth?
Yeah.
So I remember like 10 years ago, I was saying, why can't we do this? Well, I
Yeah.
guess there were good reasons, but
It-
now we've got it.
it's a very, very complicated technical
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's hard.
thing to pull off, and Microsoft did an excellent job. When they talked to us, we said, well, it has to be open source, and like it's us, so it's we can't, we're kind of into that. And they're like, no problem. And so our hardware runs on it, and they keep adding more features. And so here's a game. This one JP made. This is Trash Panda 2 Garbage Day, and Trash Pandas are raccoons. And you play this game by chasing away the cat or the raccoon from the garbage, and you shine a flashlight on it. And you can't play the game unless it's dark out. So you have to sense.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the device knows, is it dark or is it light out? And then you'll be able to chase away these varmints from your trash. So let's see. Here's a little bit of the gameplay. And then this is actually on the device, and you can see what it looks like. So it's not just screenshots. And we also have a Make Code Minute, and this is where JP shows a technique or something to build. Like here's how you would actually make this, move the blocks around, or in code mode. And take it away, JP.
Take it away, Make Code Minute.
For the Make Code Minute, what I want to talk about is using Make Code Arcade and the controller extension so that you can read the light sensor that's built right onto the PyGamer. So the way I'm going to do this is inside of Make Code Arcade, I'm going to head to Extensions. And there's this controller extension, and it has more to it than you might think. So when I add this extension, it will populate some new things into the controller category that's already there. And so now when I open it up, not only do I get my normal button move and move sprite with buttons and press button A and all that, but when I head down, we get extras. And the extras that I'm going to care about here right now are, you can use this on light bright, but I'm going to actually go straight for this one, light level, because I want to use varying numbers. So what I'm going to do is bring in this light level. And I've already prepared these blocks. This is on the game update. Every time it updates, it's going to set the position on the y-axis of my sprite, and it's going to map the light level from a range that I kind of played with to get numbers I liked, 80 to 255 from low to high, and it's going to map those to 120, which is the bottom of the screen, to 0, which is the top of the screen. So if you look at my screen here, you can see that as I tip it forward, I'm getting more light. You can even see it shining off the screen there, and it's changing the Y position of that object. Or if I grab a little flashlight, you can see there that I can move that just by getting that photo cell to to register. The resistance lowers as the brightness increases, and all the hard work is done for you right inside of MakeCode. So that is a way inside of MakeCode Arcade to utilize the light sensor on the Pi Gamer to adjust the position of a sprite or do other kinds of cool gameplay. And that is our MakeCode Minute.
Okay, and tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, JP will show the game Trash Panda, and we'll be talking about how to change palettes. And it's a different way to show colors and...
Yep. There's a standard palette, but maybe you want to have your own custom palette, and you might want to change your palette depending on what your game is. Is it an underwater game or a snowfield game? You might want different color palettes. It might be a handy advanced MakeCode technique.
Yeah. So here's a little bit of a preview, and you can see that
More purplish, now it's kind of more neon-y. But it's the same code, the same game, and then this one's kind of matrix reloaded, greens and blacks. So give your game a different look.
Okay. Don't forget the code is the PSF. And that code will be active until midnight or when I remember to turn it off. And for the hour, 8 to 9 p.m., whatever folks save with the discount code, we're going to donate to the Python Software Foundation. All right. So
Okay.
we still have so much ahead of the show. It's going to run a little late tonight.
Okay, but we're going to get through everything.
Yeah. All right. Python on hardware time.
Python time. Let's get through this.
Okay.
This is
so,
a week in Python on hardware.
Yeah. August 8th, 2019 is Circuit Python Day because it looks like a snake.
Works for me.
This is the
It's
only
the
reason.
most snaky day.
It is a
So,
snaky day.
It is a
absolutely.
snaky day. 8/8/2019, we have one event in New York that we know about already, and then one at the Technical Women's School in Mumbai, India. They're
cool.
doing a Circuit Python event. So we'll continue to post this up on our site and more, but save the date, 8/8/2019. Teardown was this previous weekend. Scott and Melissa from Adafruit were there. Scott did a talk, Supercharger hardware, old and new with Circuit Python. We got a chance to use that blinking graphic with the Google, the goggles.
Yeah.
The goggles, they do nothing. This is a Game Boy cart. You plug this into a Game Boy and then you run Python on it, so you can, which is amazing because it's like 30-year-old hardware, and you plop this in there. It's a CMD51, and then you can run Circuit Python on it. We asked our team that was there to, tweet us things that are interesting. So Maker Melissa, this is Melissa's name badge. This is using the Adafruit Pi badge. Made name badge, and you can put your name on it. And what's neat about conferences, and this is maybe we'll be able to do this next year, is these badges. One of the challenges is how do you change the software on it?
Right.
You might not have the ID, you might not have the toolchain, but we made Circuit Python so it shows up as a USB drive. So you plug it in to your computer, any computer, and if you can edit a text file, you can change your name on the badge, and that's like the magic 5 minutes.
Absolutely. I did that with a Halloween for something, and I just used that so that I could show a PSF logo and my name
Yeah,
and a couple
and
of
that's it.
jokes and
That's all
things
you
like
need.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just cycle through it. It's really,
and you can use that
really
for other
easy.
events and everything. So that
Absolutely.
we like to see that. The other thing is, well, what if you're not at the event? Well, you can play video games on this, and this is a Circuit Python version of Celeste.
Yep.
Fun video game.
It's a port of the Pico 8 driver to Circuit Python, which is similar to Lua. And in this case, it's running one of the most famous Pico 8 games, which is Celeste.
Yeah. There's a menagerie, I guess that's the right word, of hardware that runs Circuit Python. This is called Earrings, and this will whisper in your ear nice things for you.
Yeah, there's a little
We
speaker.
could all use that.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, they're hearings.
It's a pre-recorded sound in your ear, such as a child's first words, and it's called Hearings, and we have a link to that. And this runs Circuit Python. This is the
Grow board.
Grow board. It's a giant. It's called the Giant board, I think.
Giant board.
And it's Linux, and can run Circuit Python, and it's in the Adafruit Feather form factor, which we're like, hey, world, use it, and it can do things that everyone likes to do, like
Play Doom.
play Doom. Like, yeah, that's how you. That's how you know. That's how you know it's.
Well, it's a really good test.
It's a
Yeah,
real
it is a good
technology.
test.
Yeah.
And then this is the crowdfunding campaign has started for that.
That's
so
right.
pick one up.
And then Sophie, who just started getting into Python programming, and specifically uses CircuitPython, made this really neat light up jacket.
Oh, that is cool.
And it's controlled with CircuitPython. Do you have any jackets that you have to plug in to USB?
No, I'm afraid I'm completely without USB
Well,
jackets.
we gotta get on
Honestly,
that.
I
We
gotta
think
get on this.
it's a project.
So-
This is
Absolutely.
cool. So it's 3D printed and then glued onto the back of the jacket.
And then you just change the code on
Mm-hmm.
Circuit Playground, and that's it. Hackspace Magazine, download for free, or subscribe. If you subscribe, you get a Circuit Playground Express full article there about CircuitPython. Ben, the editor-in-chief, wrote an article about CircuitPython and minimal game console. Also in this issue is modular NeoPixel patches. That was from Sophie, who we just talked about. Also, CircuitPython in the news this week. Microsoft has a video effort, and it's a podcast too. This is 5 things you didn't know about Python. And Nina was on it, and Nina talks about the hardware that she's made, including like Python earrings that light up and all that.
Yeah,
So-
she demonstrated this at PyCon. It was a keynote. She had the house just going crazy. Yeah, it was great.
Do your earrings plug in?
Not yet.
But they do
no.
have Python logos on
I
them.
do. I
You
do
do?
have the special Python earrings. That's true.
Yeah, I was gonna say those are great.
Those are made by a member of the community, Thea
Adorable.
Flowers, and they're kind of the must-have thing to get at PyCon. Hey,
Yeah.
Thea, can I get some earrings?
Okay, so you can deliver. They're cute.
Microsoft over the summer they're adding more Python on hardware support, and so the folks that are working on that have a survey. It's a very short survey. You don't have to put any personal information in. They want to know how you're using Python and VS Code. It's been interesting to see Microsoft adopt Python so much. It's now part of
Absolutely.
Windows Store.
Mhm.
VS Code has it. Like it is
It is the thing.
it is one of the top
Absolutely.
downloads in Windows Store. So this is
Who would
happening.
have thought it a few years ago?
Yeah,
Don't even start.
This
Yeah.
is because we all had a life. This is not the the Microsoft we grew up with. This is like the new one that has GitHub and like there's open source.
Absolutely.
Like this is great. It's like wow, like you folks really pulled this off. And so I
know,
think
it's impressive.
I think we'll see even more. So that's happening this summer. Project that we're working on. This is Turtle.
Which is a built-in.
Which
It's
is
one,
built in
it's
the-
one of the plumbings.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
It's-
But now we have it on our little devices. So we're porting Turtle, a
Mhm.
minimal
Excellent.
version. Not everything, but you get a lot.
Yeah.
So you can write logo like projects on your PyGamer or PyPortal. Here's a bunch. Basically
That was
anything on the
actually
display.
my one contribution to Python 2.5 was a whole bunch of enhancements to the then Turtle library.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
we're
You're the
running.
Turtle
So we're running
expert
your
here.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
So
So
what
we
we
did
like-
that for teaching. Yeah.
We liked about this is like it really is that dream of like write once, run anywhere. These are 4 different types of devices, and it just
Yeah, that's
runs.
great.
And this is a script I found online. I was like,
Yeah, I've done that one too. It's
Everyone
really
likes
cool.
this one.
Oh
This is
yeah,
like
I love
hexane.
that one.
Yeah.
So I just ran it, and I'm like, whoa, it just runs. Even on a 128 by 160 display, and I just
still
put the
looks
colors
cool.
in. And it looks cool. And then it's neat is you can take it around and show people your art. And I'm going to do screen saving too.
Yeah, and then this is a guide that we just made. So we're calling it Piper Card, but you can make your own HyperCard like experience. That little chart over there is the flow chart, and then that's one of the graphics.
There's a
Maybe-
maze
Yeah, well, maybe we'll show it on a device.
Yeah, we got it.
in a little bit.
here.
Then Bill from AT Makers, so he took the PyPortal, which is our Python-powered Internet of Things device, and this is used for kids who maybe they can't speak or they have trouble communicating. This is cheaper and better and easier to update than the commercial ones, and he's deployed a ton of these to kids. So this is one of the things, speaking of Python and communities, and how people are using stuff. Another big surprise: the assistive technology companies out there, they're not servicing what's happening. It takes so long. There's FDA, and there's a lot of people who just want to be able to update their devices in some way. And a lot of them are just assistive things, like I just want to open the door, or I want to let someone know I
Makes sense.
need help. And Bill and the atmakers.org group is doing a lot of great work, and it's Python.
Yeah.
So that's one of the pleasant surprises when you go out to make stuff you don't expect all these uses. This is a CircuitPython powered remake of basically a BlackBerry.
I was going to say.
I had one of these, and it's a feather wing that's a feather on the back. One of our boards. This is someone has a sign company, and they wanted their client said, I want a sign that looks like this, but it has to be able to change colors. So they built it, and they use CircuitPython. These are students that they've made these edge-lit laser cut projects, and they use the Mu editor. And these are all coded up in CircuitPython. So it'll change colors, and it teaches them fabrication skills, and then also
Cool.
coding
Spider-Man,
skills. Yeah.
cartoon characters.
This is a really neat desktop alert using a trinket in CircuitPython. It'll let someone know if you're busy or not, and you just put that on your desk. Because if you have an open office environment,
Right.
you want folks to know, you just like, okay, my little light is green, you can talk to me, or if it's red, like, don't talk to me right now. Lots of countdown clocks. This is Windows 7 support will end on January 14th, 2020.
We've seen a couple
in
Python 3,
211
Python 2
I was
days.
going to
as well.
say, yeah.
I've seen a couple of those as well. People are excited. There's a lot of parties.
Since we released our gaming platform, people are using CircuitPython to make their own games. Here's some examples that people are working on. This is kind of neat. Lady, you know about this one.
Yes, this is using the DAC on a CircuitPython board to raster, make raster graphics. So basically you take the graphics you want to make, you turn it into a WAV file, and you play it out the audio, like the DAC of the device, and then you hook up to your oscilloscope, and it will, some older oscilloscopes have a raster mode. So it's kind of like an old TV where it's displaying line by line of the Adafruit logo spinning around.
Next up, lots of activity if you have quick connector boards. There's 3 ports for those, so if you want to use those.
In CircuitPython, yep, we now have libraries.
Here's another device that's in the menagerie. There's a USB hub
This
that
is
runs
also a teardown.
CircuitPython.
Yeah.
So that just went live. So if it's, kind of the programmer, the hacker's USB hub that does everything, and of course it runs CircuitPython. This is from Electronic Cats. They're an open source company in Mexico. They have a new robot that runs CircuitPython. Here is the Mini Sam. This is one of those Lego figurines. Benjamin made this, and he just did the pin out. And it's a cute little, almost like a trinket, a small device. That
Yeah,
runs
it's 7051, so
CircuitPython.
it's super powerful, and it's Lego character shaped. But it's got capacitive touch, and it's got buttons, and it's got little legs, and it looks cool.
Other
And it's
Python
cute.
is
It's the cutest.
DJI, who's the biggest drone manufacturer in the world, now has a kids education bot, and one of the things you can do with it, program it in Python. This is the first time that they had that available for some of their.
And then we reported a little bit ago that Lego Mindstorms also
Lego is using Python.
is also
Great.
going to be using MicroPython.
And then the
That's
Finch
good.
robot, if you're an educator for especially kids in school, there's the K through 12 programming options. It covers it all, including Python. CircuitPython.org, our little standalone site where we have all of the things that's going on. We have over 60 boards. Not all of them are Adafruit that support CircuitPython. We have
Blink aside.
15 or 16 CircuitPython.org/Blinka.
Including a new one,
Raspberry Pi 4.
Raspberry Pi 4. I added support for the platform detect,
Yeah.
and Blinka just works. There's still a couple issues that we're working out with Raspberry Pi 4 and GPIO. So like pull-ups don't work, but that's going to be fixed in the next week or two, so you can get started with I2C and blinking LEDs for sure.
And this is part of the 160 plus libraries. So we made it, as batteries included as possible.
Absolutely.
So if you have a Linux board, you don't have to struggle with all of it. You can use Blinka, or if you're on a microcontroller, you can use CircuitPython. This week, Microbit is there. They run
yeah.
MicroPython. And when I look at education conferences, I try to keep track of how many Python sessions. So this was the most Python session since I've been trying to keep track of this. So when you search on the schedule,
Right.
there's a lot going on. So you can see it.
Well, back when I was in education, I used to go to ISTE, and Jeff Elkner and I, who's based in DC, we used to go and we would do like the Python session in the little open source pavilion, and that was it.
Yeah.
It was like you and like 5 people.
Yes, exactly.
Now it's
it's a
like-
big deal.
It's a big deal, and there's whole countries that are deciding we're going to teach all our
Teaching
students
artificial
Python.
intelligence programming to high schoolers with Python. This is a session there. Coming up is EuroPython. It's July 8th to 14th. And all participants there get a CircuitPython power board. This is from Deshipu, and it's called Pew Pew, and it's a little game.
Right.
And they're going to get those.
Fun.
Also on these, this might be like your itinerary list. Anyway, there's the UK PyCon, there's Pylodium, and there's just a whole lot going on. That is the Python on hardware news this week for June. We also have our Pride flag there. Happy Pride month, everyone.
And this weekend's going to be Pride Weekend in New York.
That's a lot.
That is
A lot of Python.
It's a lot. And that's just 1 week of news.
That's one way to
Absolutely.
subscribe to our newsletter. You get all that in your inbox. Or if you don't have a newsletter, you can subscribe to our GitHub repo, and you'll see it as it's being worked on. You can see it there.
Yeah, we work out in the open. And on Discord, if people want to see how we develop the language, you can just go there. Okay, mailbag. We're going to get through everything tonight. We had a lot.
We will get through it by hook or by crook.
Okay. Every Friday we have a meeting called State of the Fruit with all our employees. We read the letters that come in. We also read these to all of you. This came in from Suzanne. A colleague and myself have been using Adafruit components and workshops and events for middle school and high school girls in the Philly area to broaden interest in STEM fields. I built the kits 4 years ago and also use them in my own classroom. I have not had a single component fail and have been quite happy with the service at Adafruit. We just wanted to let you know how much we appreciate your products and how helpful the tutorials are for educators that may not have a very technical background. If there's anything that you would like us to include, we would be more than happy to do so. Thank you, Suzanne. That was nice.
Thanks, Suzanne.
Okay. So time travel. We do time travel. Sometimes there's news, and then we're kind of...
Do you want to go to the future in this one?
Well, we're kind of getting obsessed with something because machine learning is interesting, but it's a lot of hand wavy, smoke and mirrors.
Quite true.
Yeah, and the other thing is the demos out there aren't that great. And the other thing is machine learning is going to interact with people, and there's not the people that are going to use it aren't the ones making it. There's the diversity of the people haven't gone into the folks that are making it. So we thought, well, what can we do to, one, show that machine learning is possible to do, what's possible now, and maybe some demos that people would say, well, because when you say like, oh, train a model and put it in the cloud, it's like, what?
Yeah, what does that mean?
And so we wanted to demystify a little bit. So we made a demo. So this is 1 minute and 30 seconds, and if you're a fan of the movie Tron,
Yes.
you'll recognize some of this. So let's
No, yes.
we did this last weekend, and we'll play it. Okay, welcome to a Machine Learning Monday. Might not even be Monday, but
Yes, so the board is running TensorFlow Lite,
so that's it.
Micro, and it's got a model that can recognize the words yes or no.
Yeah. So if you say yes, it's going to play the animation, and it's going to let you know it recognized yes. And if it recognizes no, it's going to say no. So we wanted to do this like real time and show like, good demos are possible with this stuff. So let's start it up.
Let's go to the demo. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will turn it on.
Yeah. We wanted to have graphics and feedback and like ways that people could see what's going on the screen.
Let's go animation.
Yep.
Okay, so now it's ready, and so it even gives you instructions. So instead of listening constantly, which we thought some people don't like the privacy side effects of that, is you have to press the button A here, and then you speak into this microphone that I've just plugged into this demo port here. It's just a standard microphone, and it will display a video and animation and audio. So let's try it out. I'm going to press A and speak into this mic. Yes. No. Bam.
You did it.
Live demo.
So that's what we wanted to show, and it has some feedback on the screen. It shows the version. It shows what we're using, and this is all hardware that we have now: battery powered, low powered.
Yes.
Computing.
Yeah, this is all battery powered right now.
So that's our machine learning demo.
That was just me.
cool.
That was what I did over the weekend.
And we have a lot more. We also want to make sure that the demos and the examples that we're doing are maybe solving a problem. So we're going to do one that helps with this assistive tech, because the models that have been released and the way we're using it, there's up, down, left, right, start, stop, go, and we're like, oh, that would be like maybe you can't move that well, and you can use those things. So we're going to do that. That's one of our next projects. So after that, we talked to Hackaday, and we're going to do a machine learning on the edge chat that's going to be coming up in September. And then some folks had asked, what's a good book? Because we've been trying to devour a lot of these books. There's not a lot of great books, except for we like this one the best so far. It's Machine Learning is Fun.
This is a good book.
Easy to Google,
Really?
easy to,
Yeah, it's a good book. Believe me, a lot of books, because I was reading all about this, and I noticed that a significant number of online courses are just the READMEs from the GitHub repo,
Yeah,
like pasted in, which is good and fun, but they don't actually explain anything. They're just the README.
Yeah.
This book actually goes into a lot of. I can just tell because I've written like hundreds of guides. This person is a very good educator. Like they know how to
good to
build
see.
on simple examples, and they work up, and you don't have to know a lot of heavy math. Even if you're not a strong mathematician, you can look at it and be like, oh, I understand the process this is going through.
A lot of the resource in startups are just people taking the read the docs from TensorFlow
sure, yeah.
and turning it into a like, hey, we got a company, hey, we got a book, and not quite. Next up, Help Wanted. So we have jobs.adafruit.com. Web developer designer who's familiar with the Arduino and ESP32. That's a remote role. Summer camp, Arduino, PyTop instructor, and they even put what they pay, $1,100 to $1,200 a week. And Adafruit is looking for a full-time web developer here in New York City. If you know PHP and you want to live and work in New York, we'll probably hire you. You just have to know PHP.
Is that getting harder to find?
It is and it isn't. I think that the frameworks change so frequently. PHP certainly isn't the thing that came out yesterday.
Right.
It's not
but
the new
there's-
hotness that a lot of
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
But there's
schools
so
are
much
teaching.
stuff built on
Right.
it. So we use a little bit of everything. So the role is definitely a generalist. So you'll have a lot of fun. But we do say like, hey, knowing PHP is definitely helpful.
And
Absolutely.
you get all the free electronics you want.
That is one of the
You're like, what's the
Oh.
discount? I'm like, it's 100% discount.
But while we're talking about that, is there any roles that the Python Foundation is hiring for?
Not really. We're still getting to the point where we're looking to like more actively support developers and do things like that, but
Gotcha.
we're not ready
You're
for
set?
prime time
Okay.
there.
'Cause We have guests sometimes who are like, oh my gosh, we're looking for
Yeah, I wish.
XYZ.
Well,
Yeah. Okay.
I
You're
I
in a
just
good spot.
finished out filling out my team like a couple months ago, so I'm not hiring for
You're
my
good.
day job either. So
Okay.
sadly,
All right. We're an open source company. To prove it, we have 1,905 guides.
That's right.
That's how we prove it in all the repos and everything. So,
On our way to 2,000. I
Yeah,
remember
that's
when we did the
close.
1,000 show.
So what's on the big board this week?
Okay.
Data?
You can see on the big screen. Okay, so we've got some great guides from David Stells. We've got the Circuit Python Choose Your Own Adventure. This was a project that Phil and I actually did a couple months ago, but with the latest updates in Display IO, it's a lot easier now to do these kinds of projects, which are point and click, hypercard-like games. So David Stells shows this very basic game that we wrote, and then he also shows how he wrote a kind of a Dungeons and Dragons-y adventure game, which even has a maze in it. And it has a flow chart. So it's a very, very cool. Check it out. It's very easy because you write your game in JSON and then you just run it in real time. And because, again, we have that auto loading, you can very quickly iterate, save your location, go back to it, and then quickly iterate through your game. You have custom fonts, you have custom graphics, and custom sound files. So good times. The Pi Badge gamepad, that's Noah and Pedro's project. We'll show a little video of that. They made a case, an upgrade to the Pi Badge case that now makes it into a perfect gaming platform because you can now have a joystick to do diagonals. We've got the cool tilt control marble maze using Circuit Playground and Circuit Python. It detects the tilt of the Circuit Playground that
Right.
you're holding and converts that into X and Y coordinates on this marble maze. So you have to get the marble through the maze, but you can't hold it directly. You have to use this external
I got a
controller.
video.
right.
So check this video.
Here it is.
Okay.
So you drop the,
You drop the ball and then you have to
marble in.
tilt it, and you can't.
yeah.
This one's not too bad because there aren't holes in it, but you can cut some holes in it and then the ball can fall through. But this is still pretty challenging
Yeah.
to get it.
Ooh.
Oh, and don't get it in and oh wait, get it in.
Just-
Yeah.
oh.
And then at the end there's a magnet.
So it'll.
Boing.
Hold on to finish.
Okay.
So it's a fun crafting project, and you can do it in cardboard. We've got Trash Panda 2 Garbage Day. That's the video we showed earlier. JP wrote the sequel to Trash Panda, the game, with Trash Panda 2. Now uses a light sensor. Those cool graphics.
Yeah. You can only play it when it's dark.
You only play it at night because it's a nighttime game, and you have to find and scare away the cats and raccoons that are throwing your trash around. We have a cool guide from Isaac Wellish, how to hack NES ROMs to add your own sprites. So there's software that's available for multiple operating systems to let you load NES ROMs, and then you can edit them to change the characters. So for example, in this version we took Burger Time, and made it a vegan Impossible Burger Time. So
The little cow.
instead of a chef, it's a cow,
Yeah.
because the cow is no longer
Food,
at
yeah.
risk of being eaten. And we made the patties a little bit more green, so you know that they're plant-based, and we updated the logo to the Impossible flag. We also have from Bill Binko an AT device for hand raising. It's for a student who's in class and has SMA, so they can't raise their hand as easily as some people, but still wants to get the attention of the teacher. So this tool, they can click on a computer and change the color of this light, which the teacher can then, because it's hanging on the back of the laptop, so the student can see the laptop, but then there's something that the teacher can see and knows that the student is trying to get their attention and they want to raise their hand.
Okay.
And then we've got a short guide from Mike Barella on how to install and use the new Windows Terminal preview in Windows 10. Last week we did how to install and use the Python that now comes with Windows 10. The terminal also got a big update, which I'm very excited about because I still use Command, and I'm psyched to use something else. And then also from Mike B, a bounce game, which you saw on Show and Tell. Using the accelerometer and the Pi Game or Pi Badge, you have to bounce the ball by tilting the Pi Gamer. As you can see, it starts kind of easy, but then it gets a little tougher as you try to get the ball to bounce onto.
This game's kind of stressful. I don't think
It's just a game, and then you get a high score. So it's a simple game. It's written Arduino, and if you want to write a basic game, it's a good simple game to learn about physics properties in gaming.
All right, and then I think that's it.
Do you want to show the little Burger Time video? Or-
No, we did. I had it.
Oh,
I had it
right,
go
sorry.
by. Okay,
You're
so
correct.
that's our guides. All right,
Okay.
some Made in New York City factory footage.
Take it away, factory.
Yep. Okay, and it wouldn't be a Made in New York City factory footage segment without
A lovely sunset.
Footage from the camera, we point out the window from the pick and places. So this is what the pick and places fall asleep to or wake up to every single
They work hard all day.
They do.
They do, but then right
pick
now
and
they're
place
asleep.
all day.
They're picking place in like
Yeah.
8 hours a day.
All right. 3D printing. No,
Okay.
Pedro.
These are those cool pie badge cases.
Yeah, this is what you were talking about before. And here's how you make them.
Hey, what's up, folks? In this project, we're making thumb pads for the Adafruit Pi Badge. Pi Badge is great for conferences, but it also makes a nice gaming device. You can make your gaming sessions more comfortable with a 3D printed thumb pad and buttons. You can even use flexible filaments for a softer touch with a bit more grip. This works with both models of the Pi Badge. We even have a version with the headers exposed, so you can add feathers and feather wings. This is nice if you're looking to add Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Get the parts to build this project, links are in the description. You can download the files from the Adafruit Learning System. Pi Badge LC is Adafruit's low-cost version without headers or connectors. This keeps the board thin, so we'll need to solder wired connections to the speaker. Start by removing the connector and soldering the wires to the pads on the Pi Badge LC. Then you can remove the protective backing and stick it over the PCB. We can use mounting tack to secure the LiPo battery. Now we can start putting together the 3D printed enclosure. We'll use superglue to attach the button housing. This medium grade Star Bond superglue dries slowly so you can align the parts more carefully. To avoid haze, a small desktop fan keeps the fumes away. You can use clamps to hold the parts together as they dry. The display bezel is attached after the button housing has fully cured. Install the thumb pad by inserting it into the housing. Add the washer and use an M2 screw to secure it in place. We'll also set up the action buttons with a washer and machine screw. This prevents the buttons from coming out. An extra button is added to the bottom half of the case for better access to the reset button. Place the PCB over the standoffs and line up the mounting holes. Then fit the top half over the Pi Badge. Now you can insert and fasten machine screws to secure the cover. Pi Badge works with CircuitPython, MakeCode Arcade, and Arduino. Adafruit's No Friendo software emulates NES games so you can play the classics or homebrew. Start by downloading the ready-to-go UF2 file. To install, just drag and drop it onto the Pi Badge USB drive. Create a NES directory and upload your favorite ROMs. Be sure to check out the homebrew ROMs linked in the guide. Use the built-in menu system to select and load ROMs. You can even save and reload game states. This makes playing ROMs much more enjoyable. You can share your projects on Adafruit's Show and Tell live stream every Wednesday. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more projects from Adafruit.
And we also have a 3D printed speed up because it takes a while to 3D print. So then, if you speed it up, it looks like kind of the speed you want.
It's fine.
Yeah. It's like replicator technology. It's like, oh, okay, it works. Okay, every Wednesday, now Pedro have 3D Hangouts. You can learn how to make all that stuff and more.
Okay,
All
we
right.
switched locations because it's that time.
We did. Don't forget the code is the PSF.
ESF.
Yep.
Radiata It's new product time.
It's time.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay.
New.
Okay. So first up, we have more of these handy dandy.
These are
Panel
round plug panel mount adapters. So these, we've had these in a bunch of different sizes and shapes and configurations. We now have a couple more in USB-C. So we have 2 USB-C ones, and one is kind of designed for host and one is designed for peripherals. So I'll show both at the same time because it's a little confusing. They look very similar. So on the outside, they both have USB-C. And remember, USB-C is kind of interesting because it can be used for both host and peripheral, like either way. But on the opposite side of these plug adapters, one has micro B. So this one is best for if you're connecting this to a device that's a USB host, and then this would be connected to the peripheral. And then we have one that has a USB-A socket. So that's for the opposite. That's when the device on the inside of the box is going to be a peripheral, and this is going to be the host. So, different needs for different needs, I guess. And what I like about these is that you just have to drill a round hole. There's no weird shape. So, if you have a wooden box, you can use a hole saw, or, if you have metal, usually it's easier to drill a hole and then maybe file it out. And then you just have this really nice panel mount, and this lip here covers up any mistakes. So even if it's not perfectly round, this lip will give you a nice bevel. And these really work quite well. People like them, and then you just plug in any cable you like onto this end. So all it is the adapter that's panel mount, and then if you need a 6-inch long cable, a 12-inch, 1 meter, whatever it is, you plug it into here, and you're golden. We also have other USB-C ones, but these are the ones that take it to micro B or A. So
All
that's
right.
2 plug adapters.
Next up, 300 microbits.
300
Wow.
microbits. So we have a couple boxes of these microbit
Yeah.
bulk packs. These are perfect for.
It's this times 300 though.
Is this
Just to be
times-
clear.
I do not
it's
actually have 300 here.
It's like $1,400, so just be aware.
It's a little more, it's pretty expensive, but they're only $14.25 a piece. So it's a really good
Yeah.
deal. If you save a couple bucks a piece, this is what you get for each one. It's the instructions, the safety guide, in a anti-stat cardboard bag that's recyclable and tied closed. You don't get USB cable and you don't get batteries, but it's very low cost if you can supply the USB cable or batteries. This is perfect for workshops or schools. It's way cheaper, and you get them ready to distribute.
Yeah, you get them at $14.25 each, but just keep in mind, you get 300 of them.
Yes, there's a lot.
Yeah, so that 5th grade class of 300 kids, there you go. That's what it is.
Yeah, so it's perfect for those situations, and again, you save a couple bucks per person. So if you were going to get 250, it's probably cheaper to get 300 in a
Yeah.
pack. 300.
Okay, what's this?
This is a new fab product. This is the Pi RTC DS3231. So we've had an RTC for the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pi does not have a real-time clock built in. So once you cut power, it loses the time. And there might be situations where you want, even if it loses power and it doesn't have Wi-Fi, it'll keep the time as a battery backup. They didn't include an RTC, which comes with your laptop and computer, because they want to save money because it's $35. So you can plug this on, and this version comes with the DS3231, and this is a genuine Maxim high precision real-time clock. These are temperature compensated. They lose less than a couple seconds a year or something ridiculous. The other one we have, you have plus or minus a second a day or something, but these are much more precise. They're famous for their high accuracy. So if you want to, say, have an NTP server or something, or you need something that's very timing sensitive, you can't have the time drift because of your data logging needs, your timing needs. This is the best RTC. It's more expensive because of the temperature compensation, but we also get genuine Maxim parts. I will say, a lot of people say, why are the DS3231s you sell so expensive? I can get them for $3 on this other site. Those are not real DS3231s. They're knockoff counterfeits, and they don't have that precision, but you wouldn't know, because if you didn't have a precision thing to compare it against, how do you know if your precision thing isn't
True.
precise? It's like you can't measure a ruler against another ruler unless one of them is, if they're both faulty, you're never going to know that your ruler's off. So it's the same issue. So we buy them direct from Maxim, so we know that they're absolutely 100% genuine DS3231s, which you'll find out in 6 months when your timing doesn't drift that you got the right thing.
Okay, and the star of the show tonight, besides Naomi, Lady Ada, the Python community, or Adafruit community, is the Pi 4.
We have Raspberry Pi 4. Well, we had a couple. We're getting more. The first batch we had just a couple dozen 2 gigabyte Raspberry Pi 4s. These are available in 3 versions. There's 1 gig, 2 gig, and 4 gig. They have a new processor, which is running at 1.5 gigahertz quad-core ARM Cortex chip. It still has Ethernet jack, but now it's gigabit Ethernet. It still has 4 USB ports, but now 2 of them are USB 3. So that's great if you want to connect an external hard drive. You'll get that high speed connect to those USB 3 ports for external storage. It has 2 HDMI ports now. And to fit them into the PCB, which has the same shape, they're now micro HDMI. So you can see in the center there, 2 micro HDMI connectors. Both can do 4K at 60 hertz HDMI. Still have the standard audio output with NTSC and the PWM audio. If you want high quality audio, check out our I2S DAC editions. And then the other update is you may want as high as 3 amps for this board, especially if you add external displays or hard drives or devices. So they upped the power requirement, the maximum power requirements, and now the port is a USB-C port because the Micro B does kind of tap out at 2.5 amps. The USB Micro Bs only have 1 conductor pair for power and ground, whereas the USB-Cs have 4. So you basically have that many more cable, that many more wires. Less resistance drop, you can supply a lot more current. Also, everything's kind of moving to USB-C, and there's an official Raspberry Pi power supply we'll be carrying that will provide you that 3 amps. For now, you can use an adapter, or if you have a USB-C power supply kicking around, that's good. Other things that have changed, you may really want to have a heatsink or a fan. It does run a little hotter, it'll throttle. The things that are the same, it has the same display and camera connector. The 40-pin GPIO is the same. It has Wi-Fi, but it now does dual 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. It still has Bluetooth and Bluetooth Low Energy. Ditto, and you can also use, you can see like there's 2 antennas now, not just 1. And you can do power over Ethernet with the power over Ethernet shield using those little 4 connectors. So this can do gigabit plus power. So it's becoming really a PC. Like you can run it as a computer. These are very powerful. It's like 2 to 3 times faster than the Pi 3B Plus, which was a big improvement. So it's probably like now 20 to 25 times faster than the Pi 1. So everything got a big upgrade. This is a huge resweep, and I like that they did not wait till February. They dropped this now, just in time for everybody to play with over the summer. So sign up. We'll promise as soon as we get them in, we will notify you. The U.S. gets them sort of last because they have to go through this FCC certification process thing. So we get them, a couple days to a week later than everybody else. But as soon as we get them, we'll notify them. They come at $35, $45, and $55, depending on how much RAM you want.
All right, and that's new products.
And that's new products. New.
All right,
Recap time.
Recap?
Yep.
Okay, let's do the recap. What was
Speedy
on
recap.
new products tonight?
New products tonight. We had 2 panel mount plugs for USB-C connectivity. On the outside is USB-C, and on the inside is either USB-A host or a Micro B connector. So depending on whether you're using the USB-C as a peripheral or a host service, you'll pick one or the other. And they're panel mount, easy to use. We also have a pack of 300 microbits. You can get them for $14.25 a piece. If you want all 300, it's a bare bones kit, but perfect for workshops. You can basically get everybody coding with Bluetooth and MicroPython or MakeCode for very cheap with this bulk pack. The Pi RTC, we've now updated to have a version with the DS3231 Precision RTC, temperature compensated, genuine Maxim RTC, great for NTP servers, data logging, or whatever precision timing needs you got. Works with any Raspberry Pi. And we've got the Raspberry Pi 4. It's a big upgrade. Check out our long video. It's a 15-minute video or our blog post where we detail all the things that have been upgraded. Dual HDMI, faster processor, 1, 2, or 4 gigabytes of RAM, USB-C, gigabit Ethernet, USB 3 ports. Everything moved around. None of the old cases are going to work. gigahertz Wi-Fi, as well as 2.4 gigahertz. So a big update. Make it 2 to 3 times faster than the Raspberry Pi 3B Plus. It's the Pi 4. That was new products.
Okay.
All right, wrapping up.
So yeah, this code still works. Go ahead and head over to Discord. We'll do a few rounds of questions. The code still works, and someone pointed out that yes, you could save $430 on
Dude,
these 300.
you
and
could get-
that means we
There you
would
go.
donate $430.
Absolutely.
So
If
it's a good deal.
If you want to have those Raspberry Pis for even less, they would be $13 a piece.
Yeah,
Go for it, and we'll donate the matching amount
that's right, for the
to this
savings.
this lovely lady.
There you go.
So-
and we will use it wisely,
will
I
use
promise
it.
you.
Okay.
We have the Adafruit vault, and inside the vault is top secret stuff. We're going to do this, and then we're going to do questions. This is just hot off the press today. This is some neat material that we're
This is diffraction grading.
putting on
That's cool.
3D prints.
Yeah,
So I wanted to show that to everyone. That's coming soon. There'll be a guide. This is our AR app. I turned it to the side so you could better see it in landscape mode. So this is our AR app for iOS, and when it sees one of our devices, it'll put all the augmented reality things on top of it. So this is the Pi badge, and it recognizes like, oh, here's where your speaker connector is. And then we also have QR codes on all of our invoices, in addition to these really nice quotes from famous people talking about learning. And this, when you get your invoice in your package, you use your phone and it'll show the model of the thing that you bought.
So cool.
And then, yeah, we showed a little preview of this and we said, guess what it is? We won't tell you. Well, here's another look at it.
Okay, here you go. This is the first prototype. It's that PCB. I sent it out.
Yeah, we can't.
Running.
We're not ready to talk about what this is yet, but we're working on something kind of cool. We think.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What is it?
at that.
It's got math.
Yeah,
It's got round mappings.
and we're working on a machine learning conference badge that does all sorts of neat stuff. Definitely can't talk about that, but it'll be familiar in some ways for some of you. So if you haven't already, head over to Discord, adafruit.it/Discord. Thank you very much, everyone who boosted our server.
And if you got boosts, boost us.
If you have boost us because
You get
it's
to
like
50.
it's like frequent flyer miles. There's always a better there's always a better
There's
tier.
Absolutely.
But we will do use it because when we do
Yeah.
our audio or when we do video on it, we will take advantage of the higher quality.
Our weekly show sounds better because we now have
Yeah.
256.
It makes a
of audio.
difference.
Okay, so let's do some questions. I had some stored up already. We'll do
Okay.
a very fast speed round. And
Speed
we'll get you out of here.
round.
Okay, this is a question. So, favorite editors for advanced, favorite editors for beginners for Python.
Ooh,
I know.
that's a
I
tough
know.
one. That's a tough one. I think for beginners, Mu is probably the winner in my book
Okay.
right now. I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
with that.
yeah. I mean, for advanced, well, I'm weird. I use Emacs. So,
I
Yeah.
love you.
oh yes.
I love
Yeah.
you, dude. Let me tell you why, because I'm gonna say why. So, you can load any size file into Emacs, and it opens in like
There you go.
2.4 nanoseconds. You can scroll through the whole thing.
There you go.
And never crashes. I've never had Emacs crash in my entire life.
I think I might have.
I've had my
crashed
computer.
once.
I've had my
yeah,
computer
it
crash.
depends, it depends.
But Emacs
Yes.
doesn't crash. It is flawless.
There you
It
go.
is old, it is clunky, but it is fast as hell.
There you
And that's
go.
what matters. I have to open up files, I have to search really fast, and like, I can't help it. I've tried Adam, and I keep going back to Emacs.
All right. Another thing that came up besides your own book, of course.
Emacs
any
sisters.
any books or resources if someone has never used Python.
Oh.
I like that Python for Kids book from No Starch, this publisher. 'Cause even for adults, because it's like wink, wink, nod, nod. It's not really for kids. It's actually
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just say kids, so they're like, oh, I'm gonna get this for my kid. Like, yeah.
I think that some of Al Sweigart's books, like the Invent Your Own Computer Games in Python and
Okay.
those things, have seemed to really catch people's attention and really do well. So I would give a shout out to those two. Automate the Boring Stuff, which is again kind of been more for adults, but kids like it too, sort of thing. Yeah, those are good ones.
Okay, this one's for you. Is there going to be a Trinket M4?
There may or may not be. There was discussion about it, but the problem is to get it that small, I have to use a BGA chip in 0.4 millimeter pitch, and I really don't want to.
Okay.
So there's no plans.
All right.
But there's the itsy bitsy M4, which is pretty small.
As an instructor, what are the things that you notice that people struggle with the most when they're learning Python, even if they know programming? Like, what's the concept that's like?
Oh, that's a tough one too.
You can also flip it. Like, what's the easiest thing for them? You can go to the extremes.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think things that people who know how to program have a hard time understanding how objects work in Python because they have all of these things that come from other languages. Like,
It is different.
It should be C, or it should be Java, or it should, no, it isn't, it's Python. So I think that's the thing that basically leads people down the garden path more often than not. Just, how are variables stored? All of those kind of assumptions underneath the language, where you can kind of do a little bit and it seems right, and then you do something
gets
and
weird.
it seems mysterious. Yeah.
It's like, why does this work? This shouldn't work.
Right,
Like,
so-
there's a way for an object to know its parent object, not its superclass, the object that contains it, which
Yeah.
I find
There isn't. Yeah.
such a weirdness in Python. It doesn't exist in any other language I've ever seen, but it exists there, and it's amazing when you have it. 'Cause you're like, that's kind of cool. I can use
Right.
this, but it's interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, it's so a lot of my teaching is basically trying to help people, whether they're adults or
They're too
kids or
smart.
whatever, form correct mental models. That's what drives me crazy, is when people are doing something and it works, but they think it
They don't
works
know
for the
why.
wrong
Yeah,
reason.
yeah.
Okay. What's the best methods to lower RAM consumption when using CircuitPython on M0 boards?
M0 boards are tough. The number one thing to do is don't use lists when you can use tuples, because tuples
Yay.
look a lot less memory than lists, but of course you can't change them. Another thing is don't make tuples either. Try to have one buffer of memory. I know it's a kind of an anti-Pythonism, it's a C'ism, but you have one buffer that you reuse, because it's not even the lack of memory. There is a lack of memory, but also your memory will get fragmented. And so try to avoid allocating memory. So if that means, you need one tuple for a lot of things, you can make a list and then change it with instructions rather than creating new ones. So that means you can't use list comprehensions, which I like a lot, but that's a trade-off. Or just update to the M4. M0 wasn't really meant to do a lot in CircuitPython.
Okay. Besides spoken language, because I'll have to say that, what language did each of you learn first? Was it Python for you?
No, for me it was AppleSoft Basic.
Okay.
I learned Pascal first. I actually
So
never
that was
learned
my
Basic.
second one.
Yeah, Pascal.
Okay. All right. We'll do one general question where you both can go back and forth. I'll tell everyone that they should make sure you're in Discord. We're going to do the trivia question. I'm going to put up the phone number soon.
Guess what you're gonna win?
Yeah. You want to put that back up so
Oh,
you can
sorry.
see that?
That's right.
Yeah, we're going to give away a Raspberry Pi.
For
Four.
2 gigabyte.
Yeah, you're going to have to call this number. It's ohm-bit-stab. I'll put the real number up.
Call this
soon.
number.
But let's go back to the question. Why? 'cause
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a delay. Where do you see Python going in 5 to 10 years, 15 years? Any? That's
That's
always
your
tough.
job.
Yeah, well,
Where's it going?
I know where I'd like to see it
The
go.
moon, Mars.
I would like to see it more on mobile devices. I mean, we're making a lot of, thanks to you and a lot of people, we're making some impact on tiny devices, but we're still not on phones the way I would like to see. So
Yeah.
I think that's the
Interesting.
next
We got a lot of
frontier.
Java still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Python's definitely getting. I mean, I'm also kind of a late person to Python. I didn't really start writing serious Python until CircuitPython. I was writing little scripts once in a while, but I never really had to write a lot of code. But I think it's a perfect language for IoT, and I think anyone who's using anything else is being a fool.
Yeah, I think with Apple moving their OS towards opening up files, that means there's going to be programming on iOS devices. I think that's going to help
Right.
get to that.
Well, in a lot of places in the world, they may have a phone, but they don't have a desktop. So I would really
Yeah.
like to see them be able to hack together something in Python rather than
Yep.
doing something else.
One place that we're seeing it, again, assistive technology was surprised. The other surprise was satellites. So a person named Max at Stanford, they use CircuitPython in these microsatellites because they don't want to spend time teaching the students everything
sure.
they need to to program, they want to actually do experiments, and so Python gets them that faster. So I think we might see it for space applications. Okay, so we're going to give some away. I think people have been able to see this. So this is the phone number.
Call this phone number.
What are the rules?
If it rings twice, I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to say ahoy, ahoy. I'm going to ask you your name and where you're calling from, and a project you're working on or you want to work on. If you're able to answer the questions, you're going to win a free Raspberry Pi 4 2 gigabyte. You can't win if you've won before, so if you've won something before.
Well, that was fast because people really want this. Okay.
No winners, but I think people know those rules. Okay, picking up.
Yeah, pick it up.
Ahoy, ahoy.
Ahoy.
Ahoy, ahoy. Congratulations. You've called Ask Engineer, and you are likely going to be the winner of a Raspberry Pi 4 if you can answer these questions. What's your name and where you're calling from?
Claude David.
Hi,
Canada.
David. You're David from where?
Canada.
Okay, David from Canada. Congratulations. You are the winner of a Raspberry Pi 4 2 gigabyte. There's none else anywhere in this country, so you are the only winner. Congratulations. To win your prize, to claim your prize, email support@adafruit.com, SUPPORT @adafruit.com, and say, hey, it's David from Canada. And support SUPPORT @adafruit.com.
Okay.
Okay, and then say, hey, it's David from Canada, and they'll help you get your Raspberry Pi 4. They'll ask you for your address.
Okay.
Okay, so what's a project you're working on or you want to work on?
Working on FPGAs, like for display stuff on the screen, or some I'm working also with e-paper, like your flexible one.
Cool. All on FPGAs?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, you have so much patience. Well, thank you for calling, David. If you're making cool FPGA projects, please come by Show and Tell and show them off.
Yeah.
We'd love to see the displays you're making. I'm sure they're beautiful and very fast. And don't forget to email support@adafruit.com to get your Raspberry Pi 4.
Cool.
All right. Have a great night.
You too.
All right. Bye. Okay. Successfully given away. This Raspberry Pi 4.
That was our show for tonight. The
It
phone
was
lines were jammed. We had the most calls at once.
I know, because
so-
everybody wants this. This is the only one. If I accidentally drop it, so I just kidding. We have an extra one, but there's none in the store right now. So
All right.
next week,
Well,
maybe we'll give away another Raspberry Pi 4, though. So just tune
Thank
in.
you so much, Naomi, for coming by.
It's
Come
my
by
pleasure.
anytime.
I love it.
Maybe next time you're around, time will have passed and you can tell us all the other places and things that not only you've been, but where Python has gone and all the grants and
to.
everything. Yeah, we try to post up every time there's the annual report. We do a post now too.
Well, we're trying to make those quarterly reports, so
Yeah.
we're not there yet, but that's our goal for the next year or so, is to get up those updates. There'll be an annual one, but we'll also do quarterly updates. So.
Right on.
Hope so.
And thank you for all your work, and please pass on our thanks to everyone
Well,
at the Python Foundation.
Again, delighted to do that. Yes, we
And,
have a lot of people doing good work.
We'll be here next week, but it'll be the AdaBox unboxing. This code still works. Instead of it being from 8 to 9, it's going to be from
8 to 10.
8 to 10. So if you
All
purchase,
right.
Double the money, double
There
the
you
discounts.
go.
if you purchase anything and use the PSF as your discount code, whatever you save is what we're going to donate to the PSF. So someone could,
Right.
as we mentioned, buy
Save
these.
$425.
Save big on those.
Yeah.
You
And
know
they
you
look
want
like-
them, right? You know you want them. Just do it.
You can think of all you can give them away. Everybody you meet, you can give them a
You could give-
Python-powered hardware
You can
device
give
There you go.
one away almost every day
There
for a
you go.
year.
for a year and take the weekends off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, all of the Adafruit team members. Let's see who's behind the scenes tonight.
Thanks for hanging out with
Takara.
us.
Thank you,
Extra
Takara.
time.
And
Thank you, Takara.
thank you, all of the Adafruit employees that are here, remote team members, all of the helpers in Discord, and all the Adafruit customers and community. Thank you so much for making this a good show, and all the things you sent in, all the Python stuff. It was full. We needed multiple screens to pull this
I
off.
know. There's a screen
Absolutely.
here, there's a
Screen,
screen there,
screen, yep.
We'll see everybody
Little screens.
next week. Here is your moment of Zener.